Shvua Tov, everyone. Welcome to Till's Tell Stories for Saturday night. The title of this week's video is Credit Not Accepted. I adapted and supplemented it from the translation by the esteemed Rebbe Uri from Sipori Chassidim by Rav Shai Zevin. It was a special Shabbat in Kossov. The Rebbe Menachem Mendel of Kossov, was to be visited by his brother-in-law, Rebbe Uri of Strelisk. Hundreds of Chassidim from the area and further converged upon the town to partake of the light of this rare, glorious encounter. Among them was one Reb Moshe, an arender, a lessee, who had been wealthy and generous, but had now fallen from his fortunes to such an extent that the local squire was threatening him with imprisonment and other humiliations if he did not pay the rent on his leased business. When the Shabbos was over, the distracted debtor told his story to the Rebbe. Rabbi Menachem Mendel Hager of Kossov, who lived from 1768 till the 17th of Cheshvan, 1826, was the son of a close disciple of the Baal Shem Tov, and himself a disciple of Rabbi Moshe Leib of Sasov, and he actually conducted a modest business until persuaded by his contemporaries to become the Rebbe of Kossov, to which thousands of Jews then flocked. Both the Vishnitz and Kossov dynasties stemmed from him. The Kossov blessed the man, but after recommended that he go to recount his woes to the Strelisk Rebbe as well. Rebbe Uri, the Seraph of Strelisk, who passed away on the 23rd of Elul in 1826, was the disciple of Rabbi Shlomo of Karlin and Rabbi Mordechai of Neshkis, and the brother-in-law of Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kossov. He was called the Seraph, the fiery angel, due to the ecstatic fervor of his prayers. His main disciple was Rabbi Yehuda Tzvi Hersh, the first of the Stretton dynasty. I'm sorry, I certainly feel sorry for you and your troubles, said the Streliska. I am now going to immerse myself in the mikveh for your sake. An extra time in the mikveh just for your sake, and the merit of my immersion will no doubt stand you in good stead and protect you. When the arender reported this reply back to the Kosovo, his Rebbe advised, please go back to my learned brother-in-law and tell him that you can't pay your creditors with a mikveh. The Streliska's reply to this was, well, very well, my dear sir. In addition, I'm prepared to give you the credit of an even greater mitzvah, the tefillin that I'm about to put on this morning. I'm dedicating the merit of my tefillin wearing and my tefillin wearing to you. When the Kossov was told of this answer, he said, now tell him, please, that you cannot placate your creditors with tefillin. The arender had no choice but to obey his Rebbe. Once again, he went off to the Streliska, who listened and then reassured him. If that is the case, then you may also have the merit of my prayers this morning. Without a doubt, the merit of those three mitzvot together, the mikveh and the tefillin and my prayers, will bring about the salvation that you require. The assurance too was relayed to the Kosovo, but he remained unconvinced. Go back and tell my brother-in-law that even with all these three mitzvot together, you will not be able to pay a single debt. The Streliska realized now it was time to clarify what was going on. He went along himself and asked his brother-in-law what he was driving at. All I'm suggesting, said the Kosovo, is that you and I should spend the next few weeks traveling around the countryside, knocking on the doors of our Jewish brethren, collecting whatever amount this poor fellow needs. Then we can fulfill a mitzvah which is written in the Torah, in the book of Vayikra, the third book, called in Greek Leviticus, in Parshas Bahar, chapter 25, verse 35, if your brother grows poor, then you shall support him. And also in this week's Torah reading, chapter 15, verses 7 to 8. And that's in the fifth book, Sefer Devarim, or Deuteronomy as it's called in Greek, chapter 15, verses 7 to 8. When any of your fellow Jews is poor, do not harden your heart or shut your hand against your needy brother. Open your hand generously and extend to him generously any credit he needs to take care of his wants. And so they did, the two holy brothers-in-law. And with the money they raised, Rav Moshe settled all his debts. And soon after, the Almighty again gave him the means to become an open-handed philanthropist, just as he had always been in earlier times. Now, that's called going all out for the mitzvah of Havas Israel, as well as the mitzvah of Tzedakah. Shavua Tov, Mazel Tov, Eliyahu Novi Zachol Tov. Have an outstanding week.